Hello, this is Grecia Aranda. This is for Mr. Ronnie Reese's class, the Informative Assessment 1 4-minute video reflecting chapters 1 through 4. So what was my knowledge of the material and content prior to completing these modules? So prior to reading the chapters, I had an understanding of what crisis was, but I just thought it was more of like a struggling to make a decision, not in the sense that we're, according to the book, using it as. I also knew that there was victim help centers like UMOM and like Chingados de la Causa and other places that help victims, especially women of domestic abuse. I knew there was shelters and stuff, so reading about such things in the book that I understood. Before, on chapter 2, I did have a little bit of knowledge on how the court works and how the appellate courts work and how criminals are able to submit appeals up until the point that they're even executed. They can still appeal their sentencing, so I was aware of that. I also already had some knowledge of the steps that were taken during the trial process, how the hearing goes and all of that. And then I did have a knowledge that the government does track all the different crimes, but I didn't know to what extent. And then I also had knowledge that a lot of victims of crimes suffer from depression because memories can play in their head that causes them to become depressed. And I also knew that a lot of them suffer from substance abuse. I watch a lot of like intervention, and a lot of substance abusers that are on there are victims of either sexual crimes or violent crimes. So I was aware of that as well. What is my knowledge of the material and content after completing these modules? I learned that there are 3 stages of crisis after the crime has occurred: the impact stage, the recoil stage, and the reorganization stage, which I found interesting. I also learned that there's 2 groups in the NIBRS used for categorizing the different crimes for their data. And I did not know that 3 states in the U.S. consider 21 and under still a juvenile. And I found it very interesting that only in 1970 did researchers begin examining victims and start looking into victimology. My understanding changed in the following ways. I did not know, again, how new victimology was, and that there's very little reporting that they've been doing on it, and it's very inaccurate from what the book says, of what monetary resources these people have lost for having to go to court, what it does to like their mental state, and then so that's really what I took out of some of these chapters. I wouldn't say I need clarification in any of these areas. I would like to know a little bit more and get a clearer understanding about if any research has been done for juveniles, and if juveniles, if they've ever done any research to see how many of those kids that are in juvenile systems, in juvenile detention centers, how many of them were victims in their own sense of crimes that caused them to live a life of crime. I would be very interested in understanding some of that stuff. So that is all I have. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.